Let me tell you a story about someone you've probably never expected to hear about. Richard Goodall, a janitor from a small town in Indiana who became a sensation practically overnight. His voice moved millions, but what's more incredible is the journey he took to get there. You might think you know his story from his appearance on America's Got Talent, but the truth is, there's a lot more to uncover about his rise to fame. Stay with me, because this is not just another singing competition story. It's about passion, perseverance, and a man who never gave up, even when everything seemed against him. Richard Goodall's story starts in Terre Haute, Indiana, a quiet town where life was simple but not without its struggles. From a young age, Richard knew he had a special connection to music. It wasn't just a hobby, it was his escape. Like many of us, he found comfort in the music that filled his room, singing along to songs on his old stereo from Radio Shack. You can imagine the dreams swirling in his head, right? Dreams of standing on stage, not as a janitor, but as a singer, doing what he loved. But life didn't make it easy for him. His family, while loving and supportive, couldn't offer him much in the way of material wealth. The financial pressures of adulthood soon took over, and Richard found himself working as a janitor at Chauncey Rose Middle School. It wasn't glamorous, and it certainly wasn't where he thought he'd end up. But even as he mopped floors and cleaned classrooms, his passion for music stayed alive. He'd sing while he worked, and soon enough the students and staff couldn't help but notice. His voice wasn't something you heard every day. It was something special. One day, while performing at a school event, Richard's voice captured the hearts of everyone in the room. Students began encouraging him to take his talent beyond the walls of the school. You can imagine their excitement when Richard finally decided to take a bold step and audition for America's Got Talent. But this wasn't the first time he had tried. Back in 2009, Richard auditioned for the show and walked away heartbroken after not making it past the first round. Most people would have given up after a disappointment like that, but not Richard. In 2024, with his students' encouragement ringing in his ears, Richard returned to the AGT stage. Nervous, absolutely. But this time, he wasn't going to let fear stand in his way. His students, the same kids who had listened to him sing while he worked, gave him the courage to try again. When he stepped on stage facing the judges, Simon Cowell, Sofia Vergara, Heidi Klum, and Howie Mandel, it was a moment he had dreamed of for years. But even dreams can feel daunting. With a few encouraging words from Simon and the cheers of the audience behind him, Richard launched into a performance that would change his life forever. He sang "Don't Stop Believin'," a song many of us know and love. The judges went from skeptical to stunned. Simon nodded in approval. Heidi clapped enthusiastically, and the crowd went wild. That's when the golden buzzer moment happened. Heidi slammed her hand down, sending golden confetti raining down over Richard, and you could see the tears welling up in his eyes. It wasn't just about getting through to the next round. It was about everything that led him to that point. Years of singing in the shadows, feeling overlooked, but never giving up. That moment was a victory not just for Richard, but for anyone who has ever been told that their dreams are out of reach.
As far as I go and Ange go, this is the first time our life has been unscripted.
Now you might be wondering, what happened after? Well, Richard's story didn't stop there. His performance went viral, with millions of people watching on YouTube. The students who had encouraged him were proud, posting on social media about their singing janitor, who finally got his moment in the spotlight. One student wrote, "He's the janitor at my twins' school, and we were all crying tears of happiness for Mr. Richard. He is so deserving of this." It was clear that Richard's performance had touched hearts far beyond the walls of the school. But success wasn't just handed to Richard. Before his moment on AGT, he had been a part of a local band called Menopause, performing at bars and local events in his spare time. It was his way of staying connected to music, even when the world didn't seem to be paying attention. Music was always there for him, even when life was hard. What about you? Have you ever had a dream that you couldn't let go of, no matter how hard life tried to pull you away from it? Tell us in the comments below. We want to hear your stories too. Richard's journey wasn't just about talent, it was about resilience. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes, even when the world tells you no, you have to keep going until someone says yes. And for Richard, that moment finally came. But before we move on, I want to ask, What do you think was the biggest challenge Richard faced on his way to success? What part of his story resonates most with you? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe for more inspiring stories just like this one. Richard's rise to fame didn't come without challenges, though. After the golden buzzer moment, things seemed to be moving quickly, but Richard's humble roots kept him grounded. While many saw him as an overnight success, the truth is that Richard had spent years honing his voice, performing in local bars, and singing for anyone who would listen. His journey was anything but sudden. It was built on years of persistence and dedication. Even before his appearance on America's Got Talent, Richard was a beloved figure in his hometown of Terre Haute. As a janitor, he wasn't just cleaning up. He was building relationships with students, inspiring them with his voice and his positive attitude. He often said that being a janitor wasn't a job that people typically celebrated, but for him, it was a platform. It allowed him to connect with people, to teach kids important lessons about respect and hard work, and to share his love for music in small but meaningful ways. Now imagine being in Richard's shoes. You've spent years working behind the scenes, doing your job, and nurturing your passion for music in quiet moments. Then, all of a sudden, you're standing on one of the biggest stages in the world, with millions watching. The pressure must have been immense, but Richard handled it with grace. His humility never wavered, even as the spotlight grew brighter. And that's where the story really takes a turn. After his viral performance, Richard's life began to change. Local news stations picked up his story, and he was suddenly a household name. People from all over the country reached out to him, offering their support and encouragement. His students were beyond proud, posting heartfelt messages about how they always knew he was destined for something bigger. But fame isn't always easy to navigate. Alongside the flood of positive messages, there were also critics. Some people questioned whether Richard's success was truly deserved. One Reddit user even commented, "I wasn't that impressed," casting doubt on his talent. It's a reminder that no matter how successful you are, there will always be naysayers. But Richard didn't let the negativity get to him. He knew that his journey was about more than just one performance. It was about years of hard work and the people who believed in him along the way. So, how did Richard handle the criticism? In his usual humble fashion, he focused on the positive and kept moving forward. He continued performing with his band, Menopause, and even started booking bigger gigs. The band, which had struggled to find consistent work, was now in demand, playing at local venues that had previously been out of reach. But the most remarkable part of Richard's journey isn't just about fame or viral success. It's about how his community rallied around him. After his America's Got Talent audition, the people of Terre Haute wanted to do everything they could to support their hometown hero. One local resident, Chris Burson, started a GoFundMe campaign to help cover the costs of Richard's journey to California. You see, even though AGT was covering some of the expenses, Richard still had financial hurdles to overcome. The generosity of his community was overwhelming. They raised over $19,000 to ensure that Richard and his family could experience this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity without any worries. This outpouring of love and support wasn't just about money. It was about showing Richard that he wasn't alone in his journey. His story had touched so many lives, and now those people were giving back in the best way they knew how. It was a true testament to the power of community and the importance of lifting each other up when the moment calls for it. As Richard's fame continued to grow, one of the most touching moments came when he received a message from Steve Perry, the legendary lead singer of Journey. Imagine the thrill of hearing from one of your musical idols, someone whose songs you've sung for years. Perry saw Richard's performance of Don't Stop Believin' and was so moved that he shared the video on social media, writing, "I love this." It was a full-circle moment for Richard, a validation from someone he had long admired. But it didn't stop there. Howie Mandel, one of the judges on America's Got Talent, also shared Richard's performance on TikTok, praising him and encouraging him to keep chasing his dream. Richard was overwhelmed with gratitude. It wasn't just about the recognition, it was about the fact that people who had shaped his musical journey were now acknowledging his talent. This is where the magic of Richard's story truly lies. It's not just about one man achieving success. It's about how that success was built on years of perseverance, the support of his community, and the kindness of strangers who saw something special in him. What about you? Do you believe in the power of community and perseverance? Let us know in the comments how you've seen these values play out in your own life or in the lives of others. And as always, if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more inspiring content.